What's good? It's the coach coming up on the show that's now Follow the Action. We've got a whole lot to talk about. We're talking about an NFL future. What
our new name? Some things.
They've got things going on. The college kids are here. Maddie tells you why in Dallas, in LA, they're talking about points down there in the bubble. And we've got a living legend. Tony Bruno will join the show and talk about everything that is gambling. Also, Amazon.
You don't come see me.
Right now, so this week, he will tell you. And the FedEx Cup playoffs, they begin at TPC Boston. We're giving you not one, not two, but 6 winners here on the show. And finally, Joey Delicious slam dunks my head from last week. And also, we look forward to another big night in the UFC on Saturday. Follow the Action starts right now.
I feel like I'm in a Wild West Western right here, like it's rawhide. We're going to be fire.
Monsters in the backfield. They got Mac.
Follow the Action. We used to have a different name. We are now Follow the Action, FT Action Show on all kinds of various social media platforms. No matter what, though, it is
the week. So the culture sandwich in between them.
In the whole freaking universe. You can ask Neil deGrasse Tyson. He would tell you we're the fastest growing podcast in the whole freaking universe. We're downloaded in over 50 countries, all 50 states. If you want to find us on different social media channels, go on our YouTube. You may have to go under our old name of Follow the Money, type in sports betting, but that'll take you to Follow the Action Show, which is our new name. Some things never change. That is, we bring you winners. Nothing but winners. Well, a couple of losers, but when you talk about winning at 64.8% in the NFL, you are known as the greatest gambler walking God's green earth, and that's who we got. He is fighting out of Philadelphia. Philly Godfather Steve Maltempus. Philly Godfather, how you doing today?
Man, just trying to make the money for everyone out there listening and on Twitter, on Instagram.
With some of the conferences we have.
Gambling universe. Hopefully we can.
NFL. I love college football. I mean,
happy John.
The man who turns to Providence, the man who has so many names, it takes all afternoon to announce him. He is Joey Oddessa. He is Joey Bagels. He is Bagel Time. He is known as Joey Delicious. In certain circles, we call him our ATM. We punch the button in. Money just spews out of this man. He's the best in the world, Mr. Joey Oddessa. How you doing? It's not a sports sport, Joey.
Oh, good. What's up, guys? Just, all part of this 52-week season, 52-week fight season.
I love Joey's response.
Something, because I didn't do a good job. I'm almost asleep. You got to be excited, Joey. We're more excited to see you than you are to see us.
I'm excited when I win. I just, everything else is just a light.
You just look online and you buy it.
Strictly business.
Oh, business, baby.
When you grow up in a household of what this young man did, and you're known as a future of sports betting, that is a lot of hype to live up to. He's living up to every bit of it.
Yes, I tell you what, these are absolute.
Matt, how you doing this week?
I'm doing awesome. The NBA playoffs are here, man. It's a great time.
Yes, sir. NBA playoffs are here. We got the NHL playoffs here. This is the hottest sports betting time probably in our lifetime, and we've lived a long time. Speaking of a man who's lived a long time, it was his birthday last week, and he looks better than ever. Coach rules is the 2 words we live by. How you doing, Jonathan Coachman?
You're damn right. And I tell you what, you mentioned playoffs. We're talking when you go to Tokyo as a WFs. And
playoffs?
I'm taking the show on the road. I've taken the show on the road because yours truly will be the voice of PGA Tour Live this week. We're calling Tiger Woods, 8:37 a.m. Eastern Thursday morning, and I can't wait. Everybody needs to join us, so we're talking a lot of golf this week on the show as well.
Where are you staying, Coach?
I'm staying at a hotel that I don't need to tell you where I'm staying. I'm telling you right now because I don't.
Showing up for the funeral. The wedding was really
he
good.
He just got released from
State.
All the action talent. That's how we live.
So you're down in Florida. Did you go visit Mr. Joey Oddessa while you're down there?
Hopefully, I can't give it out yet. His house is a long way from. It's at least an hour.
He don't come see me.
Right now, so
he's having breakfast with Tiger. He's got no time for bagels.
Hey, Joey, I do want to ask you one thing right quick, right before we get into it, because we want to get into some football. We want to get into college football. We want to get into the NBA. I got to ask you real quick. Last week, we had our Twitch live UFC show, and you had picked Marlon Vera. Now, Coach on the other side said this other young man is the next Conor McGregor. O'Malley, Sean O'Malley, Sugar Sean O'Malley. What happened, Joey?
Well, I mean, Connor lost. Did Connor lose his last fight too, Coach?
Yes, he
Like
did. You
O'Malley
lose his
just
last
did?
fight. Hey, if you want to talk trash. Just go ahead. I'm here for it. I'm here for it. If you don't,
Coach, when he showed up with the colored hair and all that, I knew you were all enamored by that stuff. That kind of stuff, like, that you guys worked up. I knew it was, just like me, strictly business. Chito Vera, man, boom. There was a leg kick. It was a leg kick. I mean, go back and watch the replay. But it's all right.
I learned a valuable lesson. Don't ever take Coach to the racetrack. Don't ever take Coach to the racetrack. They're going to have to put that horse down. Don't take it there.
Hey, it's okay, because when I bet the under and I still win money, I'll take all the trash you guys want to throw my way. So it's okay. It's okay.
I can't remember the last guy that bet a fighter and the guy broke his leg. I mean, when's the last time that happened?
It's unbelievable. It's unbelievable.
You must have subconsciously. You must have loved Vera because there was no shot that O'Malley was going to stop that kid.
Wow.
Never been stopped.
Were you enamored by the colored hair, Coach?
O'Malley was not going to stop Vera. So somewhere in your head, the Oddessa magic was working, and you were like, "Damn, I better bet under so I don't lose my ass."
I may talk a lot of shit when it comes to this show, but the one thing I will not do is shortchange your expertise in the world of MMA.
No.
I will
don't
not
call
do
me
that.
an expert. That's the kiss of death. Don't call me an expert. Jesus.
Don't call you an expert.
Yeah, next thing you know, Joey will break his leg.
Yeah.
I know. My crutches next week.
Hey,
Coach.
enough about the past. Let's talk about the future. Everybody is talking football right now, and that brings us to all kinds of things that are going on in football. And, Coach, right now is when you're supposed to interrupt me with
No. Wait, because you didn't say NFL yet. You didn't say NFL, so if you're going to do it right. So I'll actually be the host right now. And I'm
let's start over, Coach. Let's start over. Okay. Right, that brings us to football, which there's nothing done in the NFL.
Yeah, but JB, stop yourself right there. Stop yourself right there. That was brilliant. Everybody's talking about college football this week. Every one of the talking heads talking about college football this week. And the SEC is leading the charge while the Big Ten and the Pac-12 are going to be sitting at home. So, Godfather, I want to know, when you add 2 games to a schedule and it's in-conference games, how does that affect the futures and how people should bet college football leading into the season starting late September? And, of course, JBL walks away.
He's going to grab a beer, but there's so much uncertainty leading into this college football season. You don't know which players are going to opt out. You don't know if any of the coaches are going to opt out. And if any of these coaches opt out, some of these teams are going to be in serious trouble. I've seen some futures posted for the Big 12, like Oklahoma's minus $1.25. You got Texas plus 175. The SEC has Alabama right around minus 150 to win that. Georgia at plus 200, LSU at plus 600. And the ACC, you got Clemson at minus 450. So they're the prohibitive favorite. But this is a year, unlike any other year, and anything can happen. So what my group is doing is we're pumping our brakes because right now there ain't too many predictive indicators out there that's going to tell you how the season is going to play out. So for us to start betting futures, that's not something I want to do in a market that has so much uncertainty revolving around it.
All right, fair enough. But the NFL is a future that you do want to talk about, and I know you are high on an AFC team that you think their win total is a little bit too low. Is that correct?
Yeah, it's the Indianapolis Colts. Last year, I had futures on the Colts, obviously, before Andrew Luck had that shocking announcement. And I was a big Andrew Luck fan, and that hurt me. But I respected it because he walked away with a team that was – the nucleus of that team was built to go real deep in the playoffs. And especially the way Andrew Luck played, that Colts team could have been really, really dangerous last year. But I knew as soon as he made that announcement, I had to rip up those futures tickets on them. But I got to give Jacoby credit, Brissett a lot of credit for trying. I mean, he had that team at 5-2 early in the season. They beat the Chiefs early on. I think it was like a 19-13 win, and he didn't play that bad but he just isn't that guy. I mean, 19 quarterbacks in the NFL had a better QBR than him last year. The team struggled offensively big time, obviously passing the ball. They were ranked 24th in the NFL in passing efficiency. And then they caught the injury bug on the offensive side of the ball, and that really hurt them. Their top receiver, T.Y. Hilton, he missed a career-high 6 games last year. The 2019 second-round draft pick, what's his name? Paris Campbell, he missed 9 games last year. This time around, this year, 2020, they're both perfectly healthy. Then you add Phillip Rivers to the mix, who's going to be running that offense. Obviously, Phillip Rivers is a much bigger upgrade when it comes to passing the ball over Jacoby Brissett. This offense, it's going to be real nice. Their offensive line last year was top 7 in protecting the quarterback, and they still stay solid. They have 3 monsters in the backfield. They got Mack, they got that speedster Hines, and they got that kid from Wisconsin, Jonathan Taylor, and they're all talking about him right now that he's showing up big time. If these guys can stay healthy, you better watch out. Now you switch over to the defense, and this line is stacked this year. They're loaded. They picked up DeForest Buckner from the 49ers. They got Justin Houston. The rotation is beautiful. They got that kid, Kimoko Turi, Taekwon Lewis, what's that other kid? Autry, Sheldon Day, and Banagu. Last year, this defensive line ranked 21st in the NFL in the pass rush department with only 41 sacks on the year. This year, that's all going to change. This line is going to be vicious. They're going to be dangerous. They're going to be going after quarterbacks all day long. The bottom line is, in the trenches, this team is strong. Like I talked about earlier, the nucleus is there, and if they can stay healthy, they can make a deep playoff run. The other thing I like about this team this year is the schedule makers also did them a real huge favor. The Colts play only one team all year with a higher Vegas projected win total than they have, and that's in Week 9 versus the Ravens, who they're going to be coming off a tough division game versus Steelers, and they're going to be playing that tough, vicious defense. So the following week, they got to play the Colts, and then they got a look-ahead game against the Patriots. So the Colts are sandwiched in between those 2 tough games, which could help that team a lot. And then you look at the remaining opponents. Their remaining 15 opponents have an average projected Vegas win total of only 7.2 wins on the year. That's a combined average win total. The other thing I like about their schedule is their soft opener against the Jaguars. Then they play the Vikings at home, and Minnesota's going to take on Green Bay the first week of the season. So they're going to be a little banged up facing the Colts during the second week of the season. Then it's the New York Jets, who stink. And anytime an NFL team starts off 3-0, it's like 80% of the time they make the playoffs. And so that's definitely a real possibility here. If you look at their odds to make the playoffs, they're right around minus 200. They're favored in division. I love them to win the division at plus 20. Like I said, starting off 3-0 in the NFL, it's massive. And then after that, they take on the Bears in Chicago, which is going to be kind of tough. Then it's the Browns, who are coming off a game against Dallas and have a look-ahead game against the Steelers the following week. So the Colts are sandwiched in between those 2 games. It's all shaping up great for this team early on. Then they play the Bengals. They play Detroit off the bye before they face the Ravens. I also like the fact that there's only one team on their whole schedule who has better odds than them to make the playoffs. And they play 10 games versus teams this year. Check this number out, right? 10 games versus teams this year with a combined average line of minus 580 to not make the playoffs. They're playing some bad teams. And if you take out the 2 games versus the Jags off that list, because we know they stink, their projected win total is right around 4.5 games. The remaining 8 teams combined average to not make the playoffs is minus 360. So you add all that up, you add a great coach of Frank Wright. I mean, this team is dangerous. You got to go over 8.5 wins. If you can't find over 8.5 wins, go over 9 wins. If you want to buy it down, you also have that option depending on where you shop. But this Colts team at plus 120 to win the division, I think, is stealing money. We talked about how the Titans are going to regress. We talked about how the Texans are going to regress. And the Jaguars ain't squaring anybody with that 4.5 win total set on the year. I think you're stealing money over 8.5 wins on this total.
Godfather, when you talk about buying like a half a game or buying half a point, what point does it become a diminishing return? I mean, how far would you go? So say you're minus 110, minus 120, whatever it is, it takes you to minus 140, 150. Where does that diminishing return make you not want to buy that point? Is there a certain number that you have, or is it how much you believe in that prediction that you have?
It's more about how much I believe in that prediction. Anytime I'm looking to buy a half a win or a half a point, I really believe that team is really strong. And what I'm trying to do is just get down more of my bet because a lot of my wagers are limited. Some of these books limit me to 1,000 a game, 2,000 a game. So I try and find other ways to get down on that team, whether it's an alternate line, whether it's buying a half a point, and try and mixing them in there to get more down on that certain team because I think that the play is really strong.
Awesome. That's to make the playoffs. It's or to make the win total is 8.5 wins for Indianapolis Colts. That will put them most likely in the playoffs. A group that is in the playoffs right now is the NBA. They're down in the bubble. And from what I understand, Matt, you have an NBA pick for us. What is that?
Yeah, I do. It's going to be the Dallas Mavericks, Los Angeles Clippers over 229. When we look at the first game, they played game one. They played at a crazy high pace, played at a pace number of 104.5. And if you plug that number into the averages of the year, that would rank second in the whole league. So they're playing really fast the first game. And on top of that, in the first game, and the one game they played against each other in the bubble in the regular season, they totaled 237 points. And as we saw in the first game of the playoffs, Porzingis he got ejected out. And that was huge towards the total. I mean, we have a lot of points there that were missed, a lot of opportunities. The Dallas Mavericks, they had 21 turnovers, and that took away a lot of opportunities as well. When we look at the box score in that first game, both of these teams shot below average from the three-point line. And I just think 229 is too low, especially when you look at the Mavericks in the bubble. They have the second worst defense, so I love the over 229 here.
Yeah, I don't think there's any question that if Porzingis would have stayed in the game, in game one, that it would have soared well over 240 and not at the 228 that it ended up. So I like that bet a lot. There's a lot of good games. And the thing I like the most, guys, about the NBA bubble, playoff bubble, is that every other day there's games and none of this 2 days off crap because they're all playing in the right place in the same place, and I love that. So write that down, the over 229 in game 2, Clippers and Dallas.
Incredibly honored right now to talk to a living legend, Mr. Radio, Tony Bruno. He's been at, I believe, almost every Super Bowl. He is a legend at Radio Row. He's a legend, period. Tony Bruno from Philadelphia. Thank you very much for joining us.
All right, guys, you're making me sound like I'm 100 years old. Come on, man. I'm not that old.
Coach had a birthday. He claims he's 47. I think he turned 47 20 years ago. So we're
Coach looks good. Coach looks good. He's one of those guys. He doesn't age, man.
Thank you,
what they say about those high school girls, man. They stay the same. We get older, and they always stay the same age. It's the same thing about Coach.
You and Coach share two things in common. You both like talking about Coach. Hey, Coach, I want to ask you, we have got the bubble going on right now in the NBA. It seems like we're hitting a lot of overs, maybe because of a closed gym. What do you think? How do you think this favors any specific team right now? You got the Lakers with LeBron. People are saying that this is his title to win or his title to lose. You've also got the Kawhi backers. How do you see this playing out in the bubble down in Orlando?
Well, I think the games have been great. I think the whole thing between the NHL has done a great job in the bubble. The NBA certainly, they've gotten it right. Both sports. Some blips early for the NBA, but it's been smooth sailing. To me, a lot of these games are really competitive. That Indiana-Miami series looks like it's going to be great all the way. A lot of people are all over Portland now, thinking that the Portland Trailblazers are going to be the team that's going to pull off the shocker. We saw Milwaukee already lose their first game, and yes, overs seem to be hitting. And earlier when we were talking about bubble games before the playoffs started, everybody was taking dogs. The underdogs seemed lively, but now we're seeing favors come through. Other than the Bucks in their first game, it looks like the favorites have been covering and the overs have been hitting consistently.
Specifically, Tony, when you talk about Philadelphia and Ben Simmons is out in the Eastern Conference, in Game 1, Orlando beats the Bucks, and it really put a big red flag in the air on anything could happen in the bubble. Talk about the Eastern Conference and how you think you're handicapping now that the Bucks have appeared very, very vulnerable.
Well, you're right. And you look at the Bucks, I mean, they were a big favorite in Game 1. I think they were 13 and a half, 14-point favorites. And they fell behind by double digits early in that first game. And they looked like they were going to make a move. Looked like Giannis was starting to warm up and saying, hey, guys, we're supposed to win this thing, but not enough. Give the Orlando Magic credit. But now all the books are now adjusting their lines on series bets. And we sort of see the same thing in a couple of other series. The 76ers, of course, without Joel Embiid going to the basket in the final minutes, and that's been the knock on Brett Brown for a long time, is you got Embiid. You know that the Celtics don't, have a lot of wing players, but can't dominate underneath. Embiid was going strong, and then in the final minutes of that game one, Embiid was invisible. They weren't feeding him the ball to dominate inside and get the dunks and get the easy basket. So to me, the 76ers, I don't see them beating the Celtics. I know they lost, they lost a couple of players to injury, but not a big deal because they're still deep. As long as Jaylen Brown and as long as the Boston Celtics keep doing what they do with their best players, I don't think the 76ers are going to be able to have Joel Embiid go out there every single game and do what he has to do to keep them alive in this series. I see the Celtics winning this in maybe 5.
The disappearance of Joel Embiid, he hit his first 5 or 6 shots. He looks like he was completely unstoppable in the paint. Then, as you said, he just turned into a witness protection program. He disappeared in the second half. They quit getting him the ball. Is that a coaching issue or is that a player issue?
I think it's a combination of the two. I mean, Embiid's a great player, and he's a dominant center. And when you look at the Celtics, I mean, they don't have anybody underneath who can stop him. And so he was working that early in game one. And you would figure when the game was close in the second half and it was time to feed him inside, they weren't feeding him inside. So that's a combination of the coach and the player. A lot of people said he looked gassed. I don't know about that. I mean, he had a couple blows in the game, and this is game one of the first round series. So if you can't, and they played 43 minutes, so it's not like he's dogging it. I just think that everybody knows Embiid has to do it. Embiid knows it. The Celtics know it. And the question is, will Brett Brown have the confidence to keep giving him the ball underneath in a close game in the final couple of minutes? To not have him be fed the ball is one of the biggest, to me, so far in the first round of these playoffs, biggest question marks you could even think of.
You're listening to Tony Bruno here on the Follow the Action show. Let's switch gears now and talk about football. And I don't want to ask you about the Big Ten and the Pac-12 absolutely screwing things up. I want to ask you about how the SEC, now adding 2 games within the conference, how do you think that's going to adjust the future bets, the in-game bets, because now you're adding opponents that are SEC quality and not opponents that are outside of the conference?
I mean, the SEC is leading the way, and I know there's a lot of doubters out there that are saying, oh, wait till something happens. Alabama announced they're going to do 20% capacity, and it doesn't matter to me. I mean, I just want the players to be healthy and safe. But I agree. I mean, you look at all the numbers on those first games when they released the SEC schedule. There's still double-digit games there. There's no cakewalks there. So and I think we're going to see competitive football. I mean, the Big Ten to me, and you guys know this, and everybody's bashing the Big Ten. But the Big Ten really has dropped the ball here. And I just think that it's absolutely ridiculous. But we'll see what happens. I mean, when the commissioner of the Big Ten, his son is playing in the Southeastern Conference, but the kids in his own conference aren't allowed to play. I mean, how do you explain that to anybody?
So what happens next, Tony? The question is, look, I'm a huge college football fan, as most of America is. You're having some of these schools saying we're going to play in the spring. That would mean we have a fall schedule with some of the conferences. We have a spring schedule. And also in the fall schedule, you have some schools saying they're playing independents and will make up their own schedule kind of as they go. A spring schedule that could happen, and then another fall schedule. Do you think these colleges actually end up playing in the spring?
I don't think so. I don't see how. I mean, it's unfair. We're talking about we got to worry about the student athletes and we got to worry about their health. And then you're going to tell them to go out there and do something that they haven't done twice in 1 year. Again, I'm no expert here. I'm just looking at this as a fan, as a guy who likes to. Football is my favorite sport as far as betting is concerned. I love NFL. I love college football. I mean, I get involved in all the sports, but when it gets to football, to me, that's when you start breaking the games down and you can look at the opponents and take it week by week as opposed to every other night. So I think the other conferences are making a mistake. Hopefully the SEC is doing it right, and hopefully the other conferences that are playing are going to get it done right. And to me, that's the only way you can. And I'm not looking to shame the Big Ten. I think the Big Ten has put themselves in a bad spot. I hope these kids go out, they play. The players are complaining in the Big Ten. Their parents are complaining. The players want to play. And the Big Ten is not giving them legitimate reasons why they can't play. They're going to play high school, but they can't play college football in some of these states. It's insane.
It's crazy when you think about it, because in Iowa State's going to play, and Iowa is not going to play, and they're in absolutely the same state. There's absolutely been no transparency whatsoever. Now, we've been trying to educate, Tony, our audience here, as we're kind of a new show the last couple of months. And you've had the Philly Godfather on your show for a long, long time. Talk to our audience that is new to us about what makes the Godfather and the Animals just so good when it comes to handicapping, specifically the NFL.
Because it's a business to them. You know, there's a lot of people who do handicapping and they're not professional handicappers. Oh, I know more. I got locks. I got this. I got that. But when you have a network that the Philly Godfather has put together, when you've got guys who just know, who focus on MMA, he's got MMA experts. Because one thing about all of us who make picks, you know, you can't be that on top of every single sport. I mean, he had guys over there who knew what was going on with the table tennis in the Ukraine. I mean, how many other people are scouting Ukrainian table tennis and giving you winners? So Philly Godfather is giving you table tennis. He's got MMA guys. He's got golf guys. And he obviously is well on top of the NBA and the NFL. So you have to have a network with all the great people around him and all the people that work with him. They do this 24/7. So it's not just, hey, let me dabble, let me throw a couple of picks out there today. This is absolute science. You know, we always talk about science with the coronavirus. To the Philly Godfather, this is science. This is better than Dr. Fauci. Dr. Fauci had a lot of misses. Philly Godfather doesn't miss much. You know what I'm saying?
You know, one thing about it, Tony, is you didn't pick a random country and a random sport. I actually bet on Ukrainian table tennis, as did Coach. That's a Philly Godfather actually had us bet on table tennis in the Ukraine, which is insane to me, but we won. Which is insane to me.
Until the wise guys in Jersey found out that some of those matches may have been fixed, and then they shut it down. You know, so you couldn't bet on it anymore after a while.
Tony, I want to switch gears a little bit for just a second and talk about the future of sports betting. Because of what's going on with COVID, lack of tax receipts, these states are going to be hurting like crazy. There's some estimates that's 30 to 40 states will legalize mobile betting in the next 2 to 3 years. You're seeing things like FanDuel. You're seeing MGM partner up with Fox Bets, which is Fox Sports, part of their gaming division. You're seeing books buy content as customer acquisition. How does all of this change sports and betting in the next few years with the proliferation of sports betting?
Well, the online game, the handheld game is obviously blowing up because there are going to be some states like New York and California where they're never going to allow it because of the control by the Indian casinos, and they're not going to relinquish that control. So, but the bottom line is we're seeing states each and every month, Indiana, all these other states that are being added on, and the key is the online mobile apps. That's where betting's going to happen. You know, the brick and mortar casinos will be there, the sports books. But for the most part, people have learned to stay inside and conduct their business inside during the virus. And now they're going to just keep doing it. They're going to sit at home or they're going to sit in a casino and bet on their phones if there is no sport. If you're in California and you can't bet online, you know, you got to go to a casino. But at least in most of the states now that are adding all these books, the DraftKings and the FanDuels and all the other ones you mentioned, the BetBox, BetMGM. I mean, every day there's so many different ways you can get action. So I don't think that's going to be a problem. And I feel bad for the fans in those states where they're not going to have the online applications, because to me, that's what's going to drive business for the next generation.
Tony, I've never met anybody from Philadelphia that is not a sports fan. Some of the greatest sports fans in the world. It was so much fun when I wrestled. We go down to the old forum down there, and now it's changed names a million times and going to Philadelphia. Let me ask you about baseball just a little bit. It looks like the season is going to play. We had some problems early with the Miami Marlins, with the St. Louis Cardinals. That looks to be corrected. People have stepped up. The COVID protocols seem to have gotten a lot better. The Yankees right now, they're on another injury spree like they were last year. Do you think the Yankees, if they can stay healthy, are the favorites right now to go to the World Series and win it? And if not, who do you think is?
Well, the Yankees, I mean, they're unbelievable at home. They never lose at home. And you're right. They lose 3 or 4 players, 3 guys who are like superstars, and they're still out. Now, they're playing the Red Sox for a couple of weeks, a couple of days the last weekend, and they took care of them. The Red Sox are a mess. You know, the Oakland A's are one of those teams you can't sleep on out west. And, you know, the Oakland A's, they were you want to talk about a lively dog. They were like plus 2,500 before the season to win it all. Can they win it all? No, but if you don't know. But if you put a couple bucks on the Oakland A's, before the season started at plus 2,500. I throw a couple shekels on that. So I think the Oakland A's are good. Minnesota's good. The Yankees are good. And hopefully everybody stays healthy because we've seen the Cincinnati Reds had a game postponed. But the Marlins and the Cardinals were obviously the most affected. And it seems like everything's starting to calm down despite no bubble in baseball. We're going to see these 60 games played, thankfully.
Tony, we can't thank you enough for joining us. Before we leave, you are a living legend, just like we said. Tell us how to get in contact with you as far as your social media, your show, however our fans would like to watch you, which most of our fans would rather watch you than us, especially because –
Hell yes.
So
please I don't know about that.
Please hype something because I didn't do a good job of anything but you.
Well, luckily, I'm on every day, Monday to Friday, 3 to 6 p.m. Eastern Time on Sirius XM, channel 211. That's the Dan Patrick channel. So 3 hours there. I'm on twitch.tv/Tony Bruno Show where you can watch and you can comment. And also now at night on Sports Map Radio on about 130 stations around the country from 9 p.m. to midnight. So I'm pretty much on 24 hours a day. You can find me out there. Just go to TonyBrunoShow.com. the website, and of course on Twitter at Tony Bruno Show on Twitter. Follow me there, and Instagram is Tony Bruno 1. I mean, it's pretty hard not to find me. If you don't find me, I will find you. Trust me.
We've been saying that about JBL for years.
I got to meet Dick Buckus one time, who was my football hero. You are our radio hero because you're all over the place and you've been doing it for a long time. We all want to be you. Tony,
thank you.
Sincerely, thank you very much for joining us. We appreciate it. You have a wonderful day.
Thank you. My pleasure, guys. Great to talk to you.
Well, I tell you what, guys, Tony Bruno always delivers, no matter what he's talking about. Speaking of delivering, Johnny, you're our finance guru, you're our finance expert, and Amazon, they've been in the news this week. What can you tell us about them?
Yeah, you had an analyst come out and said the stock price may go to $5,000, which is right now about $3,300. That's about a $1.67 trillion market cap. So you're talking about a market cap of, good grief. I mean, this is getting ridiculous. This is science fiction numbers that you're talking about. Amazon, look, here's the deal with Amazon and with Walmart, especially with their home delivery, is once the hardest thing about buying online is setting up your account and buying the first time. Once you do that, you rarely ever go back. You know, if you need to try something on, if you want to see something in person, maybe you go into a store. But if it's just a staple, if it's something that you need, if it's like an Apple product, electronic, you know pretty much it's standard. You just look online and you buy it. Amazon now is compressing time is what they're doing. So instead of online taking over for the next 5 years, that's going down to a very short period of time because of COVID that's going on right now. This is terrible for retail. You know, they called Walmart and the first retail killer. Now you have Walmart versus Amazon, the two big retail killers. They're really going to hurt retail stores around the country, around the globe. But what you're going to see, though, is the big get bigger and the strong get much stronger. And that's what's going to happen with both Amazon and Walmart. I own both. I like both. If you haven't got into them and you want to have them for the next 5 years, you might find a cheaper price. But if you don't, just bite the bullet and own these stocks. I think you need to own these stocks in your portfolio, somewhere in that portfolio, to whatever degree you feel comfortable owning an individual stock. That is home delivery, Coach. But a lot of also delivery is a group out of Memphis that is FedEx. You are at the FedEx golf tournament this weekend. I know you're down there in person. I didn't catch what hotel room and number you were staying at.
I've known you for too long to give out my room number, my hotel, to know that 10 pizzas are going to show up or worse. So I'm not telling you anything. But we're certainly excited for the FedEx Cup playoffs to begin, and I'm thrilled to get to call the event this week for PGA Tour Live for sure.
So what do you have this week, Coach? You told us before that Brooks Koepka was not going to make the cut when he was a favorite in the tournament. Brooks Koepka didn't make the cut. And by the way, I gotta throw some love here. Philly Godfather, 9-4 this past Sunday on his golf picks. He was 4-0 on sports, a 2% bet on another one. Most people call that a career day. He calls it Sunday afternoon.
Well, here's the thing that's a little bit different.
You have had a good track record yourself, so I want to ask you, what have you got coming up in this golf tournament? What matchups do you like?
We've got a lot coming up, and this is the best of the best. This is the top 125, which is down from the normal 155. Also, for the first time, they're playing the Northern Trust at TPC Boston, which for the first time they're doing that. So when you look at the picks we have, we're giving out six for free this week on the podcast. I tell you what, these are absolute slam dunks. Now, people, they text me all the time. They say, Coach, give us winners. And we always preface it by saying it's like a needle in a haystack picking a winner of a golf tournament. But if you're looking for some red-hot players this week, then maybe put a little taste on Jason Day, maybe Billy Horschel. The nice thing is, depending on where you make your picks, you can get pretty good prices on these guys because the top players are all playing this week, including Tiger Woods. So I like Jason Day, Billy Horschel, or Se-Woo Kim. Se-Woo Kim last week until Sunday when he made some bonehead decisions. He was right there in the hunt and in the lead. But when it comes to picks, here's what we got. So grab a pencil, grab a pen, grab a piece of paper. Matthew Wolff, he was great at the PGA Championship. Thank you, Godfather. I appreciate the respect. Matthew Wolff, take him over Kevin Kisner. Wolff has big-time DNA. When the stakes are higher, he plays better. Justin Thomas. He just pocketed $2 million for the Wyndham Rewards bonus, so he's got a lot of cash in his back pocket. He wants to put cash in our back pocket. Take him over Bryson DeChambeau. We're fading him the entire playoffs. Justin Thomas also. John Rahm. For some reason, Rahm's forgotten that he was the number one player in the world just 2 weeks ago. Also, and I cannot believe that I'm saying this, but Phil Mickelson, at 50 years of age, take him over Tiger Woods.
What?
These are all tournament bets. Yes.
What?
I can't even believe I'm saying it. But Tiger just hasn't shown that he has the game to last for 4 rounds. And he's only played twice in the last 5 months. So take Mickelson over Tiger Woods. Now, 2 are the ones that I love. Billy Horschel, who should have won last week. He's been playing great this week, or the last, 4 or 5 weeks. Take him over Ricky Fowler. Horschel over Ricky Fowler. And my last one, it just wouldn't be a follow the action show if we didn't fade Brooks Koepka. So take Patrick Cantlay over Brooks Koepka. Koepka's played, this will be his 7th week in a row. 7th week in a row. His knee's bad. He needs surgery. So Koepka, I to be honest, I don't know that he makes the cut this week, but I don't want to go that far. But Cantlay has been playing really well. So those are our 6 picks. Wolff, Thomas, Mickelson, Horschel, Cantlay, and Godfather, you're welcome.
I love it.
Now,
you got Tiger playing near home. You got Tiger playing in the warm, so his back is going to feel pretty good. And you're still fading Tiger Woods?
Well, they're playing in Boston. So that's not near his house here in Florida.
Oh, I'm sorry. I thought they were playing in St. Augustine.
No. This is where the PGA
It's the same, but completely different.
Yeah, because
you're there, Coach. I'm sorry, Coach. What room was that?
because of COVID, they've limited how many people they're going to let on site. So we have to call, like a lot of guys are. Nick Faldo's called every tournament from Orlando in the Golf Channel studios. So it's okay. But I'm not going to give you my hotel room. But yes, it's going to be hot. He's going to be loose, and I hate fading him. But over the course of 4 rounds, Tiger just hasn't shown me that he can put 4 rounds together and be productive. So I'm going to fade him, even though I hate doing it.
It's your roommate.
I know. I'm the first one to say I love Tiger Woods. I'm the president of the Tiger Woods fan club, and I hope, and you guys are going to crush me. Look at Godfather. I hope I lose that bet. But I don't think that I will.
You're on worldwide internet right now, fading Tiger Woods. I mean,
and hoping to lose.
Did you just say worldwide
He's
internet?
going to hear about this.
Did you just say worldwide internet? Did 1995 just call the show? He said worldwide internet.
Are we not worldwide, Coach? Are we not in 50 countries?
Yeah.
Does that not make us global, Coach? Does that not make us worldwide?
No, that's true.
Coach,
So
I got my mini samurai sword here.
That's what a lot of the women in your life over the years have called it too. But anyway.
Not nice, Coach.
There's only one Joey Delicious.
That is very
One Joey Delicious. And if I told you where I bought it, it would be another name that you could make fun of. Ueno Station in Tokyo.
Oh, wow.
Animal Hamaguchi's gym.
Oh, God, we love Tokyo. There's nothing to be made fun of when you go to Tokyo as a WWE superstar. Love it there. But that's our golf report for the week. And I think there's only one way, Johnny, that we should wrap up the show this week. And that, of course, is with the aforementioned Joey Delicious.
Oh, my goodness. Joey Delicious, I got to ask you one main question. Does Sean O'Malley play golf?
If he did, Coach would be rooming with him.
And if somebody, let me ask you another question, Joy. If one of the UFC fighters or with golfers, one of the golfers was to wear their hair the color of the Ecuadorian flag, you think Coach would back him?
All in, he'd go all in. Forget about it. All in.
This one stings. This one really, really stings. I'll be honest with you, because I was completely ready to slam dunk Joey on the show this week, and it could not have turned out any worse for me at the end of that night. Could not have turned out any worse.
They almost had to put him down.
Thank God you went around when Secretariat won the Triple Crown.
We said break a leg, and he took it serious, right?
That's very
so,
true.
Joey, let's get into UFC. We got a big card coming up this week, not as big as we had last week as far as the big heavyweight fight. What do you got coming up this weekend?
I love this card. Not so much for the headliners. Somebody said a long time ago, they said, how do you do with those lesser-known fight cards? And I said, I do really good with them because those lesser-known fighters aren't lesser-known to me. And that's the case with this card here. Pedro Munoz is headlining with Frankie Edgar. Edgar, he fought at featherweight. He failed his last attempt to win, I guess it was like his third world title. Anyway, he's in tough against Pedro Munoz. Munoz, he had the COVID. They delayed this fight a couple times. They're fighting here on Saturday night. Munoz is about a 2.5 to 1 favorite. I mean, I'm looking at Frankie Edgar and going, well, maybe he matches up well with Munoz because of Dodson and so on. I don't think he does. I think Munoz will probably beat him, but that's not even the fight I'm looking at. I'm going down to the undercard with these guys' names I can actually pronounce, or you guys can actually pronounce these guys' names. There's two Rodriguez's fighting on this undercard, not related. One from Boston, one from California. Both favorites, probably about 2 to 1. They should be about 2 to 1. There seems to be some money going against them. I think they'll both get there. And on top of that, something that it's got me scratching my head. This Mizuki Inoue, Japanese fighter, she's fighting a Brazilian by the name of Lemos. Now, this Inoue, she's 1-0 in the UFC, but she lost a split decision to that girl that, she looked like if Gilbert Melendez had a child with Amanda Nunes, it would look like this girl, Jandarova. Anyways, Jandarova, she went to a split decision with Jandarova. I think Inoue is going to beat this girl. She opened it like minus 200. She's down to minus 140. I think a lot of these moves are going to go down. These early moves, low limits, they look like setups. It looks like, kind of square money. I'm opposite.
I'm not sure about that procreation comment about the two matchups having offspring on that. I don't know if it's appropriate or not because I have no idea what you're talking about. So we're just going to dismiss it.
Well, I worked with Gilbert. I worked with Gilbert Melendez at ESPN. So it's actually a pretty good actually. Yes. Yeah. I love Gilbert, by the way. He's a good dude. He's a really good dude.
Good dude. Gilbert's awesome. Nunes is cool too.
Yes, she is.
Cool.
Yes, she is.
You got anything else on the UFC card? Anything else on the UFC card, Joey? Or just...
I could give you the rest of the winners, but then there'd be nothing for Saturday.
Well, let's wait for Saturday. Don't forget on Saturday, go on the live Twitch feed. It'll be Follow the Action. It used to be Follow the Money. We'll hopefully have it changed by the end on Twitch as well. So it'll be Follow the Money or Follow the Action. Go on there an hour before the prelim fights. We'll go through the entire card. We'll break down where sharp money's going. We'll have the Philly Godfather, Joey Oddessa, the college kids. We'll have them all on here along with Coach if he's not interviewing Tiger Woods. And if he's not, then we'll go through as far as predictions for that as well. Does that work, Joey?
That works. You know who's fighting on this card? The kid that beat the kid that quit, Austin Hubbard. You remember that bout?
I sure do.
I lost that fight. He quit after the second round. Didn't want to go back out there. He's in tough, though. He's in here with this Joe Selecki. You know, it's one of those cases of, you know, missing the wedding and showing up for the funeral. The wedding was against Roscoe. This week, he's in a little bit tougher. You know, Selecki's tough. It's not something I would play, so we're going to take a pass on that one.
Joey, what's the kid's name that who quit on the stool or asked to quit on the stool that you were just talking about? What's his name again?
Max Roscoe, right? Great wrestler, really good wrestler at NC State.
Yeah, he just got released from his contract by the UFC.
Yeah, no, that's what happens. You know, Dana don't like quitters.
Yeah,
you know, nobody likes a quitter.
You said that would probably happen. You said that.
Yeah, I know. I felt that. Chance. You know, it's just, you can't come back from that, man. Roberto Duran will always be known for no mas, as great as he was. You know.
Yeah, good point.
Well, there you have it. That is follow the action this week. We got a big week coming up. We got NBA, we got NHL, we got MLS, we got UFC. The Matt of the college kids, I'm not sure if you're frozen up there. I'm not sure if we still got you, but if we do, what are you looking forward to this week?
Yeah, I mean, we're looking at the Sixers. We know Ben Simmons is hurt for them, so that's a big damper on them as far as we're looking at who's going to progress and come out of the East. We're looking at the Milwaukee Bucks. They lost the first game to the Orlando Magic. They looked very vulnerable. So that opens it up for Toronto and these other teams like Boston or Miami to come and maybe possibly come out the East.
And, Coach, what are you looking forward to this week?
Well, obviously it's a big week for us in the world of golf, but I'm hoping that on Saturday that I'll be able to give you guys live on the show an exciting new announcement for our fans here at the show to watch something new. I can't give it out yet.
What is it, Coach?
I can't give it out yet, but hopefully by Saturday I'll be able to.
We won't, Coach.
Do it.
We won't tell anybody.
It's going to be fun, and as this group grows and we continue to dominate around the sports world, this is going to be one more step in that direction. So hopefully I can give it to you on Saturday.
You sure you don't want to tell us, Coach? We won't tell anybody.
No, I'd like it for it to actually happen. So yes, I cannot give it to you today.
Joey Oddessa, what are you looking forward to this week down there in Orlando, Florida?
Well, things that Coach is looking to happen. You know, break a leg, Coach. Look, I'm ready with this. You know, I'm ready to rock and roll with this UFC. Again, I said, you don't need big names to make great fights, and I think there's some really, really good fights on this card and some really good opportunities to make some money.
The main event always goes last. That's why I saved the Philly Godfather for the last. Philly Godfather, main event. You are the man. What are you looking forward to this week?
I'm actually hoping that Coach doesn't love another fighter as much as he loved last week and someone breaks the leg. And then I'm also all over the Flyers. I gave the Flyers out to win this series at minus 240. They're up 3-1. I think the series line right now is up to 20-1. We bet them at 11-1 to win the Stanley Cup. We got futures on ice. I'm all flyered up, John. I can't believe I'm talking about hockey, but we're betting hockey.
Well, the one thing that you've taught us, all of us amateurs like JBL and myself, Godfather and Maddie and Joey, is that the money doesn't have a face. Meaning it doesn't matter if it's Conor McGregor. It doesn't matter if it's hockey. It's all green. So when you win it, it's all good. That's what you do for us. That's right. Remember the brand new show handles on Twitter, YouTube. It's FT Action Show on Instagram. It's Follow the Action Show. And remember, all you got to do is fire every single day for Joey Delicious, for JBL, for the college kid Maddie, and the Philly Godfather. I'm the coach. We'll see you Saturday live on Twitch for UFC pregame. And remember, keep firing. And as always, follow the action. We'll see you next week.